You can build more towers, you can build more roads, but you cannot build more coastline. In this particular video, I'll break down why Dubai's waterfront is the most scarce, the most strategic, and the most aggressive asset type to build and extend generational wealth. Alright, now before we directly get into it, let me emphasize on the fact that this is the first one of a series of 2 videos where I'm explaining literally the whole coastline from Blue Waters Island all the way up to Pearl Jumeirah. So specifically 8 chosen locations, we're diving into it, and we're comparing the prices from 2020 to 2024, okay? And I want to show you what happened in that cycle of 4 years and how the prices literally exploded, because this is what this video is all about. In today's video, we focus on the locations of Blue Waters Island, JBR Marina, Dubai Harbour and Palm Jumeirah, okay? And in the second episode, we are looking into Marsa Al Arab in Jumeirah Bay Island, Port de la Mer and Pearl Jumeirah. It's going to be a super exciting video, probably one of the most important for you to watch because we're sticking to the actual raw numbers, to actual statistics. And after this video, you should have full clarity why an investment in Dubai's prime coastline is an absolute no-brainer. Let's get into it. Let's start with the map of Dubai in the first place to give you a quick overview of what are these locations and where exactly are they positioned. So the whole coastline of Dubai spans over 72 kilometers, and towards the left side, towards the southern part, we have the border of Abu Dhabi, okay, AD, and towards the northern part, okay, of Sheikh Zayed Road, towards the Dubai Islands, we have here Sharjah, SH, okay? And in between, these are considered as the prime locations of Dubai. Specifically, starting from Blue Waters Island, which we have here, all the way up to Pearl Jumeirah. Here, in this segment, we're having 8 particular locations, which are extremely prime, and we divide them in part 1 and part 2. And today, we're focusing on this particular part, we mark it in blue, which is this segment here, okay, of prime waterfront. Let's get started with Blue Waters Island, a gorgeous man-made island, which is technically a peninsula, because here it is connected to the mainland, and that makes it a peninsula to be absolutely correct here. Now, what is so special about it? It is a master development of Meraz, and technically it is a seafront development, although here we have a private beach access as well, okay, specifically for banyan tree residences, which is the newer development there. Now, in the middle, we find the Blue Waters residences from 1 all the way up to 10, and it is a mix out of 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom residences, as well as some 5 bedroom penthouses. Gorgeous. They have a mall in there. It's very clean, and there's a certain nationality which is predominant there, which are the Russians. And I love Blue Waters. It's very, very unique and very special. On the side here, okay, here you have some gorgeous townhouses as well, 16 if I'm not completely mistaken. And these townhouses, they completely exploded in prices as well. Now, one more thing which I'd like to mention about Blue Waters is the accessibility to Sheikh Zayed Road. It's absolutely great because you directly have one main exit/access from Blue Waters to Sheikh Zayed Road and the other way around, okay? Which makes it very easy for you to reach the destination and never get stuck in traffic, which is absolutely awesome. And now, let's look at the actual price development. Let's compare 2020 to 2024. Right in front of us, we have the overview of the year 2020. You can see that transparently here, okay, of Blue Waters Island. And obviously, we're using Property Monitor as the primary tool whenever it comes to breaking down the numbers. Now, I want to emphasize only on this particular metric, which is the average price per square foot, because the average price per square foot based on the bedrooms, you can see that on the left side, 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, 4 bed, 5 bed, was anywhere in the range between 1,900 and 2,200 here with the 3 beds. So let's say the average price per square foot based on what we can see right in front of us was 2,100 dirhams, okay? That was in the year 2020. And now let's compare them to the year 2024. We have the exact date right in front of us. It was the 1st January to the 31st of January 2024, okay? And on the right column, we can see the average price per square foot again. And the lowest average price per square foot was for the 1 beds with 3,900 dirhams per square foot, all the way up to 7,000 for the 5 beds. So basically here, 4,500, 5,500, 5,500. Let's say 5 to 5,500 was the average, which is more than double the prices in only a matter of 4 years, okay? So if we do basically a calculation, a breakdown per year, that's a yearly growth of 25 to 30% if you do the math on it, which is absolutely massive, okay? And this is what can happen in a prime waterfront destination, seafront or beachfront directly on the coastline of Dubai if the supply is capped, if the supply is limited of the overall development. Let's move on to location number 2, which is the infamous Dubai Marina and JBR, stands for Jumeirah Beach Residence. Now, both these locations are more or less interconnected and they are very touristic. They count as one of the most matured communities overall in Dubai. So let's explore them geographically in the first place. The marina is considered as everything which is left and right of the marina, okay? And all the properties which are directly here on the beachfront, this is the JBR area. This is Jumeirah Beach Residence. And I'd like to focus more on the JBR side of things. Why? Because here on my channel, Deal to Simon, we're speaking about luxury and ultra luxury. And unfortunately, in the marina, we basically don't have any building which is considered as luxury, ultra luxury. There's one building which really sticks out in terms of the quality, which is the Marina Gates Tower 1 and 2, for sure. But other than that, it's quite standard, quite average in terms of the building quality, because these communities, they were built 10, 15 years ago, 17 years ago, okay? And that's why you can definitely see that from the outside. Now, when it comes to JBR, the location is great, okay? Because you directly have the public beach access, but at the end of the day, and private beach access for certain buildings, where there is the beach access divided and allocated only for that particular building, okay? For example, the Ritz-Carlton, which you have there. And there are a handful of developments, a handful of projects, okay, which are really considered as luxury, if not ultra luxury, when you look at the price per square foot as well. So let's directly explore them. Let's understand the prices of these buildings of JBR, okay, 2020, and let's compare them to 2024 afterwards. So other than with Blue Waters Island, we're using a different graph, a different overview in order to understand the prices, because it would be impossible and unrealistic to only look at the average price per square foot of the overall community of JBR, because we have complete different tiers and different categories of buildings in the same locations, and that's why we have to differentiate and divide them. So let me give you a clear example. So number one, we have, for example, the Address Beach Resort in the community. And the Address Beach Resort, for everyone who knows it, is definitely categorized as luxury, if not ultra luxury, considering what the whole environment and the whole brand has to offer. The brand is owned by Emaar and is quite famous in Dubai, I would say so. And 500 meters next to it, we find buildings like, for example, Baha, like Murjan, like Amwash, okay? And these buildings were completed and established, I think, 15 years ago by Dubai Properties. And you can imagine that the quality standard, the architecture, the whole construction level of these buildings is not anywhere close to the Address, okay? And that's why we cannot look at the price per square foot of the community, but basically like divide them building by building. So the Address was selling at roughly 2,100, 2,200 per square foot back in the days in 2020. And it was not even like number one. Number one was the one JBR, which was quite interesting for me when I saw those numbers, with 3,000 per square foot, which I would consider as quite high going back to 2020. So this is the overview and the trajectory of 2020, and now let's compare them to 2024. You immediately see that the prices have skyrocketed, and that we find 5 buildings, interestingly, in the bracket of 4,000 to 5,000 dirhams per square foot, and I mark them in red right now because this is very interesting to understand. And specifically the 5 Lux, okay, which we can see here on a price per square foot of 5,200 dirhams in the year 2025, reached the absolute top, and it continued to rise in price, because right now in the secondary market of 2025, when I'm recording this video, after the first quarter, we saw prices in between 5,500 and 6,000 dirhams on average, even all the way up to 7,000 with some single transactions, which is absolutely mind-blowing for me. And the Address is still here on rank number 4, and even the Address doubled in price in 4 years. Okay, we saw them. We saw the Address as 2,100, 2,200, and now we're speaking about 4,400. And even interestingly, these older buildings of Baha, of Rimal, Amwash, and even Shams got into it. They are now at 1,600 on average. Okay. And we looked at them previously at 800, 900 dirhams per square foot, which is super interesting. Even they doubled in price because the overall community got more value. And this is basically what happened in JBR. Moving on to location number 3, which is the beautiful Dubai Harbor. And I gotta say, I love this area, and it's definitely one to keep an eye on, because there is so much more room for the appreciation to happen in a more mid to long-term perspective. So let's figure out what exactly is the harbor. The location is built into the sea, okay? This is this particular strip of land. This is the Dubai Harbor. And specifically, I want to mark a couple of developments here. The Emaar beachfront is exactly this particular strip of land, and it has a private beach access directly towards the marina side and directly towards the palm side. Here we find on this particular side, okay, here we find the harbor residences left and right. These are 6 buildings in total, 3 and 3. Here we find the Arada, W Residences Arada. Here we find the Shoba Sea Haven developments, and the Mak has its building here and here with the Mak Bay 1 and 2. These are the most mentionable developments which we can find on the Dubai Harbor, okay? And obviously I want to emphasize on this particular part here, because here we find the biggest marina in Dubai. So we have 1,100 plus yacht berth there, okay? And just imagine how that looks in the evening. There will be fine dining, there will be multiple restaurants, and when the whole community, when the whole area is established in the next years, it will gain so much more value till that, okay? Because all these developments which are marked right now, they're all under construction. Some of them has not even like really started the construction, okay? And this is why I see so much potential in there. So now let's go back to 2020. Let's understand the prices and then compare it to 2024. All right, and there we're back with the overview of the average price per square foot of the community, okay? Here in this case with the Dubai Harbour. And we can see that the price per square foot in 2020 was on average at 2,150 to 2,200. So let's give it a clean 2,200 dirhams per square foot. And a couple of transactions which we've seen here, especially here in the Emaar beachfront, okay? We can see the names of the buildings, so Beach Vista, Sunrise Bay, Grand Bleu, El Izab. The average prices per square foot which you can find here were all in the range of 2,100, 2,200. So you can see clearly that these prices here, okay, the average here is equivalent to what we see here in the single transactions. This is what we saw in 2020, on average 2,000, 2,200. And now let's jump into 2024. So here we have the average prices again in the year of 2024. And you can see that very clearly that we have a valuation in between 3,900 dirhams all the way up to 5,200. So considering the 2 beds, 3 beds, 4 beds, we're speaking about roughly what, 4,200, 4,300 on average, okay? So again, a doubling in the prices per square foot compared to what we've seen 4 years back. And here are a couple of single transactions, especially here with the W residences by Arada. And we can see the valuation here, price per square foot for the individual registered transactions was 4,000, 4,200 on average. So this is the valuation which we have in 2024. And in a long-term perspective, I definitely see a potential for 5.5, 6, if not like towards the 7,000 dirhams per square foot mark, because of the overall area will gain so much more in value. Coming on to the creme de la creme. Location number 4, the iconic Palm Jumeirah, known as the 8th World Wonder. And I tried to keep it as short and as simple as possible. I'm thinking about creating a separate video about Palm Jumeirah as well, to have a perfect comparison to the potential of Palm Jebel Ali, to see why to invest in such a man-made island, which is definitely the Palm. Now, we have to understand a couple of things about the whole concept in order to understand the prices later on. So we have in the first place the so-called trunk, let's mark it that way, okay? We have the spine, okay? We have the fronts, these are the palm fronts, okay? And left and right of it. And we definitely have to the side here the crescent. So we have the east crescent and we have the west crescent. And here, for example, we have the Royal Atlantis over there on top of it. Now, this is the overall simplified concept of Palm Jumeirah. Now, in order to understand the prices, we have to understand that on the palm fronts, okay, so here are these fronts, here are the villas and the mansions positioned, and especially the apartments, the residential buildings, they are more or less positioned here, okay, on the trunk. And this is exactly what we're looking into it right now to get a perfect comparison to what were the prices for the villas, okay, and for the apartments in 2020 and then in 2024. As explained, we need to differentiate between the villas slash townhouses on the left side, okay, and the valuation of the apartments, because this is completely different. So when it comes to the villas, here we have the crescent, as you can see, and the fronts. They were at roughly 1,800 dirhams per square foot. Can you believe it? 1,800 dirhams per square foot. Absolutely ridiculous. And on the right side, when it comes to the apartments, this was really shocking me. So the most expensive selling price for ultra luxury apartments on Palm Jumeirah was the one at Palm, okay, Dorchester Collection by Omniat, selling at 3,300 dirhams per square foot on average, okay. And let's say all the other beautiful developments, let's say Tiara Residences, okay, was selling at 1,500, 7 Palm at 1,700. What we are saying here, for example, Palm Views, okay, at 1,200. So crazy. All these developments, they were below 2,000 dirhams per square foot. This was in the year 2020. And now let's have a look at 2024 and let's observe how the prices literally skyrocketed. This is how the prices look like 4 years later. So let's explore them. On the left side, again, with our villas slash townhouse category, we see that the fronts reach 6,500 dirhams per square foot on average and the crescents 5,700. So if you look at these kind of numbers, we can see that the prices literally have increased 3 times compared to 4 years back. And on the right side, when it comes to the apartments, okay, we can see that's Ava at Palm Jumeirah, which is right next to the one, and even with one at ranking number 2, they reached 10,000 dirhams per square foot in off-plan. Okay, they were selling off-plan at 10,000 dirhams per square foot, and they're completely sold out. This is the crazy thing behind it. So people are buying these properties, and even the one at Palm Jumeirah, on average, doubled in prices and reached 6,500 dirhams. And then even Nakheel brought with Como Residences, so they are selling ultra luxury as well, 5,600 dirhams on average. And all the other apartments, they are all in the top 10, for example, they're all beyond the 2,400 mark. So you can see that the overall increase in value happens on all of those waterfront locations and dragged up the prices massively. So we can see that clear black on white in front of us what happens to prices of prime coastline in the right timing. Let's come to the final conclusion of this in-depth, in-detail breakdown of the price explosion of Dubai's coastline. And this was only episode 1 out of 2, and I want you to watch episode 2 very carefully because we're about to explore very interesting communities, especially Jumeirah Marsa Al Arab, okay, to see what happened there. This is by far the most expensive area of Dubai with prices which is like 15 to 20,000 dirhams per square foot. This is an absolute must-watch as well. But by now, if you're already convinced that a property directly on Dubai's coastline is the right pick, the right choice for you, then it's time to actually take action and book a private one-on-one consultation together with me. Because in this consultation, we can go deeper. We can explore what are the opportunities right now on Dubai's coastline, which property does fit your requirements the best, and which one should we go for. And this can only be discussed in a private one-on-one consultation, okay? So with that being said, click the link below this particular video, fill out the form, give me some upfront information, the more the better, because this is how I can prepare myself for the meeting. I will take 45 minutes of my time and I will consult you in the best possible way. With that being said, see you on the other side and I'll see you in Dubai.